We are live. This is the market update. I am back. I am your host, Bill Noble. Today is the GANN day, the day where the market should pivot and this whole mess should turn. I figured it was going to be a slump or a downtrend. I did not think it was going to be an FTX PTSD, but that's why it was. And this is a good reason why you always want to have an 18-year-old on your trading desk or on your trading team so they can help you avoid negativity from the past. Now, speaking of avoiding negativity from the past, we just got off the member live stream where Toby told you how it's going to be. Now, the future, the near future, 2050, there's no crying in crypto, even though there is the word cry in crypto. There is no crying in the YouTube member area, period. No crying whatsoever. Now, let's get real. Let's get real. Don't forget about Patreon, where we said don't quit 2 days ago, right? Don't quit. LuxAlgo, the core of some of the chart stuff, we're going to go today, and the Bill Noble indicator, where you're going to be looking for 5 waves. Right. And if there was ever a time to book Bitcoin Vegas, do it now, because we are in the revulsion stage. Okay. A lot of charts, a lot of stuff, a lot of talk. Let's talk about 2 things: macro and fear greed. So these are, I like taking the member stuff that we really like. We really give it to people. I've also got new picks in there too. Like Toby, we just pulled stuff up and Toby's like, yeah, I like this. I like this. And she doesn't want to dump anything. Like I was like, yeah, take the stuff from the last cycle, throw it out the window. She doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to dump anything. And she doesn't like meme coins. She doesn't want to dump anything. So I don't dump anything until the market goes up and you see what underperforms. So let's start with that. And then, let's take a brief moment to go to macro. Okay. Everybody's like, because we have the news stories. Everyone's like, well, the tariffs blew up the market. It's tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. Look, tariffs have nothing to do with crypto. If tariffs have something to do with crypto, crypto is a warning signal that something could happen in equities. And right now, I'm not going to go there until something actually does happen in equities, because I know the short sellers are foaming at the mouth to get after that. That may happen, but not now. Okay. And again, we went through the whole roadmap as to what and why we think that in the member area. But what I can tell you is everyone is now a macro expert, right? Like, oh my God, tariffs meant crypto got wrecked. One has nothing to do with the other. Let me tell you how crypto got wrecked. And then I'm going to tell you how this gets unwound. It's very simple. So first, we have excess in the market. We have cringe everywhere. Coinbase putting its logo on a Formula One car, followed by Dave Portnoy, followed by Kanye, and followed by whatever the rug of the day is. Like, rugging became an acceptable market event. It's like, oh, what are we going to rug today? That kind of excess and pumped out fun. And once it gets to that point, okay, the market is looking for a purge. The only way to get that out of the system is to purge it. Now, how do you purge it out? Well, you inadvertently get a men behaving badly incident, namely a bunch of hackers, right? Undoubtedly backed by a communist country or more than one communist country. Because remember, who backs the North Koreans? The Chinese, right? Come in and hack $1.4 billion worth of ETH, triggering some kind of levered liquidation somewhere. So yes, Bybit did have $1.4 billion, but who knows where it was? It was lent out, margin calls. I don't know where they got it from or where it was. We still don't know, but it just resulted in forced selling because the market went down and sat, and then went down and sat, and then went down and sat. Forced selling. And the forced selling probably came to a close because it was down only this morning. And then when forced selling ends, when the last thing has been sold to cover losses or whatever liquidation is happening, the market just goes whoop, which is what happened right before we went on the stream. So let's follow this. You have levered excess in the market. You have a forced liquidation event, and you have the big centralized exchanges, which are like casino house villains, liquidating all these levered longs. Like, yeah, the exchange is like, yeah, man, come in and get levered. And they make like $400 million at a time, right? And then the market just keeps going lower and going lower. And then as it goes lower, the narrative changes. Like, oh, I don't want crypto anymore. And the cycle's over, and tariffs, and I can't touch this. And fear, greed goes so low, it was revulsion. It was FTX, it was a tightening cycle. It's like, look, I don't want any of this. I don't want to touch it. You know what? I don't blame people. I looked at this and I'm like, this makes me want to puke, right? Remember how Kramer cried on the air about a certain tech stock that he was recommending that didn't do well? If you had pushed me hard enough, I probably would have done the same thing about this. I was like, this cannot be happening. I was even on with a bunch of really smart people on the show, and they were even like, this is so depressing, it doesn't even fit into words, which, of course, is the natural definition of a low. So you have leveraged excess, an exogenous event, right? A purge, forced selling, predators taking advantage of it, forcing the market lower, everyone panicking, no one wants to touch it, which is very similar to what happened right before the election. Now, I submit to you a very simple question. The orange man issued a meme coin at the top, and the opposition in the American government is giving him a hard time about it. And supposedly his wife's coin was a flat-out rug or close to it. So, is the orange man going to allow North Korean hackers to chase everybody, including the U.S. government, out of the digital asset space, which he has said, along with AI, has to be an American growth industry, because the only way to get out of $37 trillion in debt is growth. So we're saying, as a market, that this guy is going to step up to the podium on March 4th and go, you know what? The North Koreans have changed my mind. I have changed my mind. I am going to genuflect to the communist altar of crime, and we're going to skip the Bitcoin strategic reserve, and you're all rugged. I'm sorry. Really? Really? Based on the way the orange man has been behaving, you actually think that that's what's going to happen? Like, Cynthia Loomis has looped in RFK on the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Remember, it was RFK's idea that the orange man borrowed during the campaign, because RFK wanted to do a John McAfee and use cryptocurrency. He wanted to use Bitcoin to help back the dollar and certain kinds of treasury bonds. Even just a little bit, right? Just a little bit. He wanted to use cryptocurrency. Cynthia Loomis has been the only politician who has carried on during this debacle, brings in RFK, and they're eventually going to wind up in the orange man's office. And I'm sure the Soros guys are drooling over this, because they got everybody leaning one way, negative, and then all they got to do is come out with some sort of surprise, and voila. This thing goes from 79 to 89 or 99 very quickly, or over a period of months. So all the macro experts are talking about tariffs, and the macro experts should be focused on interest rates, right? I mean, they're just going to destroy Washington, D.C., Maryland, and the state of Virginia. They don't care. They just do not care. This guy, Elon Musk, is ruthless. They're just going to cut that stuff until they can't cut it anymore. They're going to cut it to the point where they're going to have to rehire people when it's over. That's how far they're going to cut it. You know, you've also got the idea that the whole economic growth story of the last 2.5 years is becoming unwound. The economy's been shrinking under the weight of inflation, and the economy is terrible. And you have interest rates that are way too high. Now, on top of that, just so we can address this whole equities apocalypse thing. So there is clearly a case to wipe out equities. I'm not going to lie to you. The biggest risk to crypto is stunks. Now, how do you avoid that problem? How does the orange man avoid that problem? Well, it's very simple. You make a deal with the Fed that we will come in there and ransack you and shut you down, audit you and fire you all if you just keep the stock market moving. That's all. That's it. Right? Notice the trip to Fort Knox was canceled. Notice we're not hearing about any of that crap anymore. I think that deal's already been made. So if you want to buy Bitcoin at 79 or 80 something, or 72 and 80 something, whatever it winds up being after this like GANN planetary thing ends, you know, the risk you take is that stocks blow up and that it's an everything crash. Your reward is that it's not an everything crash and everyone wakes up and goes, we need a new form of money, and everyone is out. Everyone hates it and everybody will never touch it again. Like, that's how bad that fear, greed at 10. That's what that means. It doesn't mean I'm bearish. Fear, greed at 30 means I'm bearish. Fear, greed at 10 means I'm out and I'm never touching it again. Right. And I would imagine if you get positive price action, people would change their minds on that in a huge hurry. So I don't know. I don't know if the levered player is still out there. We still don't know who's doing all this selling. And the moment we do know, it's just going to levitate higher. It's just going to float up like some of these altcoins did today. Some of the AI coins, some of the meme coins, and it's all fits the narrative that when you get a major bottom, the trash rallies first. The stuff people hate. I mean, it's like, what's leading the market today? Peanut and AI16Z, right? Okay. Whatever. That's fine. You know what I'm saying? The trash rallies first off the lows. It's always the same way. And again, your risk is that someone out there huge is blowing up. But at the end of the day, like, just ask yourself all these questions. This is what we covered in the YouTube member area in detail. Why did you like Bitcoin? Why does anyone like Bitcoin to begin with? Why does anyone like ETH to begin with? And I'm a little salty about Solana, but it's the same thing with Solana, right? Why does anybody like antivirus? Why did you ever like anything that you currently have that may be down 80%, right? The biggest problem is not the case for crypto. And I got the same problem. The biggest problem is like what's happened to your head, right? And that's why the YouTube member area is great, because you know what? When I got to get straightened out, where do I go? I go to YouTube member area and I listen to Toby. I'm serious. Like, everyone thinks that, you know, we just turn this thing on and talk. I just talk every day and it's kind of all automatic. I mean, some of it is, but then I get, you know, it's like I want to use profanity. It's like I get really effed up sometimes, like totally messed up to where I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? How do I talk about this? And Toby's just like, well, let me tell you. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, we're going to genuflect to the North Korean hackers and give up on crypto. Really? I don't think so. No way. I mean, is that what we did when Mercury 3 astronauts passed away during the space program? You know, is that what we did in like, you know, World War II when, you know, Rommel and superior tanks were like running over us at one point? No, we didn't do that. And we're not doing it now. What about McAfee? You know, McAfee was chased by cartels, all kinds of bad people. Did he quit? No. And we'll go through a quote about McAfee about how he handled colossal market dumps. We'll go into it. But the bottom line is, it's like, look, if they want to give you Bitcoin at 75 and 80, your risk is it's an everything crash and it goes to 40. That's the risk. The upside risk is 200 by the end of the year and 300 next year. You'll be asking yourself, why did I sell it at 75? And why did I pack it in and sell all my bags and just say, I'm done? It's like, just like FTX, just like the tightening cycle. You know, how many people were saying, gee, I could have bought Bitcoin at 16K. I could have bought it at 13K. I could have bought it when everyone said it was sell the fact after the Bitcoin ETF at 50. No, BlackRock is adding Bitcoin ETFs to its portfolio, to its like portfolio allocation suggestions, right? BlackRock's mutual funds themselves are buying the Bitcoin ETF as levered trading dimwits puke it out. They're all standing down there taking the crypto. Like Binance, oh yeah, let's liquidate everybody. Let's take it all, right? Then they're all going to get short and it's going to go up. We're going to liquidate those people. We're just going to have more capital destruction to where everyone's got to sell their crypto to Binance, Bybit, Coinbase, Kraken, Galaxy Digital, BlackRock. I mean, literally, they're probably just standing down here drooling, going, please take it down one more time. Even Michael Saylor's like, wow, this is great. I borrowed a ton of money at the top. I got filled at 97. It'll be at 180 at the end of the year. And I may get to buy it lower if anybody's willing to lend me any money. Kramer's bearish my stock, thank God, so my stock can go up. They're all standing down there waiting for you. Meanwhile, and again, I don't blame you because I was there. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm too old for this. That's how bad it was. Like, I want someone to play this back when Bitcoin was at 180, and I'm admitting I'm not giving into it, right? That's the difference. But like, you know, maybe I'm done. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I don't understand this market. Then I listen to the YouTube member area, and I do stuff for Patreon where I'm like, listen, do not quit. If you feel bad, that's a low. Even if they try to hit it one more time. Like, I just put it in Patreon. It was like, don't quit. You know, and I don't know. Guys may have liked that. Guys may have not liked that. But that's just the way it is. You can't quit. You just can't, because it's the future, period. And it's not Stunks. It's not NVIDIA with its cooked books or Microsoft or any of these other characters. It's not them, right? You want Sam Altman running your life? I don't think so. I don't want Elon Musk running my life. I don't care how cool he looks now. I don't. We got to stay with crypto. We're going to go over the charts. We're going to go over the news. Okay. All right. Let's see who's here. Bull Runner first on the stream. Bodine Brazy, MYK. Javier's here for a double shot. What's up? Forget about it. Hario. Bautista Z, a member. Welcome. Grigio, Solana, please. Don't let me forget. We'll do it with DeMark. Another crypto war story for Wrong Again, dude. Perhaps one of the best, right? DC Precise, Digital Bobby, what's up? Snippet, Gavin Busby, a new member. Farmer Sam Forrest. Snippet, what's going on? Hello from my bear market cardboard box. Bro, I don't blame you. You were hiding under the desk with your crash helmet on, eating beef jerky, hugging your implement of self-defense. I do not blame you. I was there with you, bro. I was there with you. I'm not going to lie. Okay. Now we need like real news. We need like real stuff. What's going on here? Okay. So everyone will hate this, but it's true. It's true. Astrologers think so as a rare cosmic event approaches. So William Gann was a trader and a technical analyst back in the early 20th century. That's like the 1920s. And he was a big fan of like planetary movements being used as seasonality. Like, you know, sell in May and go away, and the Santa rally and the January effect. Okay. He had his version using planetary movements. Most people hate it. He made $50 million trading in the 1930s. So I'll stick with him if you don't mind. Okay. Now we got this alignment where on February 28th, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Uranus, Mercury, and Neptune form a planetary parade. Okay. Where they all line up at the same time. Okay. All lining up at the same time. You won't see it again until 2040. And according to the Eagle King, you haven't seen it since 2012. Now, when you see this type of stuff, when you see big GAN event, I call it a GAN event. When you have a GAN event, like a planetary alignment, like an eclipse, or, you know, some big event like this, the market will be, whatever's going on in the market will be exacerbated or magnified into the event. And then once the event comes, the event ends. Like the Bitcoin ETF, the FTX, all these things were filtered around eclipses. So you had huge moves, huge rally, huge decline. Once the eclipse comes, the date comes, it stops. Okay? So my theory was that this market was going to basically suck until this came out, until the 28th. Now, of course, I had no idea. We were talking about Bitcoin 79K and a total crash and everyone liquidating and the whole 9 yards. And who knows, it still might not be over. But today's the day it was supposed to end. So it's ending. It looks like it. It looks like it. And this GAN stuff worked good. Just was way bigger than I thought it was. Okay, let's go to government spending. So Congress passes a debt bill, raises the debt ceiling to 40 trillion, continues to spend. Elon cuts, Congress spends. This is not a secret. It's still highly stimulative for the economy, and it needs to be. And we'll show why in a minute, but all government spending is taxation, right? When government spends, you either get taxed or you pay when your purchasing power erodes, right? Whatever is not taxed directly is taxed in the form of inflation, and Elon's right about this. And this is basically telling you that he is going to go after government spending, and he is going to go after heads, because in a corporation, the only way to truly cut expenses is to cut people, right? That's the only way to really cut expenses. You got a corporate brain running the government, right? So when GDP contracted under Biden, Dems said that wasn't a recession. Atlanta Fed's forecast now shows Q1 just plunged from 2.3 to negative 1.5 as everyone realizes our growth has just been debt-fueled government spending. So basically, and you probably know this, the economy is terrible, right? Job growth for anyone who lives here is terrible. And there's no growth because all the growth has been government spending on all the crazy stuff that you've seen in the news. So why are rates at 3%? I mean, yeah, Congress continues to spend, but why are rates at 3% if things are terrible? Like eventually they got to figure this out, right? They have to. Now, again, what does this have to do with crypto? So the orange man is telling everyone in Eastern Europe, get over themselves, make a deal. Shut up and make a deal. So again, does this look like a guy that's going to capitulate to North Korean actors, right? Zelensky is like an allied country, and he's telling Zelensky, make a deal or we're out. So he's going to tolerate the North Koreans, right? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. So Grayscale smart contract funds gives its highest weight to Solana. And to me, that's bullish ETH, right? I mean, this whole idea that ETH is dead, you know, after seeing some of the excess occurring on Solana, I'm salty about Solana. I think the best use for Solana is to dump it and buy AIntivirus. To be honest with you. But they do have a cool Solana mixer. So maybe we'll hold on to Solana. But the fact that everyone is bearish ETH after you just did this huge purge of that ecosystem, right? Huge. And I'm glad Pump.Fund stopped functioning, because we got to figure out and focus on something else, even if it's larger cap meme coins, right? Or if it's like AIntivirus, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me anything other than just Solana being an indiscriminate rug chain to where celebrities have to get involved in the rugging. Insane. Just insane. And I'm glad it's gone. SEC to host first crypto roundtable on Bitcoin and crypto this March. Yeah. Yeah, because if they don't do something, they're going to have egg all over their face. You cannot have a State of the Union address followed by a stock market crash, followed by Bitcoin and 40K. You can't, I mean, you can, but how's that help anybody? You have a reflexivity problem at that point, right? Because if you have tariffs and you have a market crash, then you have a recession that doesn't go away for a very long time. That's not going to happen. They can't let that happen. I mean, they can, but I mean, it'd be a disaster for them. Why do they want that? So yeah, I get it. There's excess in the stock market, but they're meeting on Bitcoin. So Just Dario, who, you know, is all over the fact that, you know, NVIDIA, Microsoft, all the accounting, NVIDIA is selling chips to China through Singapore. I mean, how do you think they got DeepSeek? You know what I'm saying? Like this, you know, these guys are going to get caught. They're going to get caught. Right now, in the meantime, again, it makes a case for crypto, because you give me Bitcoin and Michael Saylor and RFK versus NVIDIA. That's not even close. Not even close. But Just Dario notes that somebody very levered is blowing up in the market behind closed doors. Pretty obvious at this point, and that's true. Someone is blowing up. They're getting liquidated. We don't know who it is yet. When we know who it is, it's definitely over. And it might have been over off this planetary event. I don't know if they got one more day in them, but why are you giving up on crypto? I mean, they blew up. And, you know, as long as it's not systemic, system-wide fraud, if there's any fraud in the market, it's just that all these levered players get liquidated no matter what happens every day. Liquidate everybody so that Binance and all these characters have all everybody's money to come in and scoop it up below 80. It's that simple. Bitcoin tumbles to 80. XRP loses key support as tariffs regain centrality. Dollar rises. Whatever. Rates are too high and the dollar is going lower. Period. This whole thing about these tariffs, I don't even know if these tariffs are going to last. And if they do, tariffs would be affecting stocks, not crypto. Not crypto. Right? This has just been a big excuse for algos to wipe everything out. Because algos had a really great deal, right? Algos had like free money. They could just sell on every headline and let it just fall out of bed. Because they knew they had, it was obvious they had leverage for selling behind it. So it was a party for algos, trend followers, all of them. Okay, so here's Bloomberg, right? Doomberg. Bitcoin down 25% as crypto rout worsens. Okay, so a brief word on this. Bitcoin can go down 40% in corrections. It happened in 2017. 25% is normally what you get on a standard stock market correction. So if you assume the Bitcoin ETF is like the stock market, okay, you had a 25, 30% blowout. Now, your bags are wrecked, you're wrecked, your head's wrecked, you don't want to play anymore. Dude, I so get it. I so get it. I mean, really what the buy the dip crowd is kind of missing is empathy. Even Benjamin Cohen, who is kind of like a mindless Bitcoin maximalist in many ways, was actually being very professional and empathetic towards people who were holding ETH last night as he discussed ETH versus Bitcoin, right? Doomberg has no compassion because they want it lower because the orange man was into it before the election. And the orange man, in my opinion, is going to stay into it because the day that, the orange man is capitulating to North Korean hackers, I mean, you'd have snow in hell by the time that happened. It's not happening. It isn't. All right. And if we all get rugged, then we all get rugged. Like if you want to play for 200, you got to take the risk at 70. You got to take the risk at 70. That's it. Like, it's not a free ride. Like before, I was like, I'm going to buy it at 100 and it's going to go to 200. And everything's going to be a free ride. There's no free ride. You got to take the risk. Now, Salvador is like, we bought it at 50 and it went to 16. You think we're going to back off after a 25% correction? No, we're just going to buy more because we don't care because it's been working. So why would you stop? Why would you stop? Right. And that could be true. And that's probably not true in altcoins and meme coins, right? Because in some ways there was no cycle. So, I mean, let's just take a minute to address that. Okay. So here's, leveraged exchange just taking everyone's money. Just taking your money. I didn't realize how nefarious this kind of stuff was. SEC says meme coins are not securities. Great. They're not securities. We know that, but you should be, who's going to get paid a visit on this? Radium, right? It's not pump.fun. Pump.fun is not pump.fun unless these rug coins get listed on Radium. So whoever's behind the scenes at Radium, yeah, you best be get a call. You're going to get a call from guys with badges. Because, if you have like consumer destruction, people passing away, yeah, you might get paid a visit there. You might. SEC drops Coinbase lawsuit. Thank goodness. Let's knock it off. Okay. So here's Mike in San Francisco. Man, I went to suburban San Francisco to visit Janice McAfee and the AIntivirus guys. God, man, fantastic. Right? The city's got problems, but it's just so beautiful out there. And, I know Mike made the top with the Forbes article, and the cringe over the name change was unbelievable, right? The cringe over the name change was unbelievable. But the cycle isn't over because, frankly, the cycle never started. Like Bitcoin had a rally. Bitcoin went from what? You know, I don't know. At the very start, it went from like 20K to 100K. Okay, that's a pretty good rally. But nothing else moved. ETH didn't move. You know, Solana went from 0 to 200, but 200 wasn't an all-time high. ETH never made a new all-time high. There was no cycle. Everyone's calling me up and saying, oh, everyone's saying the cycle's over. What cycle? There was no cycle. And if there is a cycle, it's not over. Because Bitcoin, as an unusual, new, exciting form of money instead of the dollar, the yen, and the euro, which all had problems, right? Gold is probably worth $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 an ounce. But, you know, can you really use that for capital appreciation over time? You'll get appreciation, but I mean, are you going to get major upside? I don't know. Gold goes to $10,000 an ounce. We're all cave people again. So is the cycle over? No. Right? Michael's like, do what you have to do to get more Bitcoin at 75. Do what you have to do. I don't disagree. I mean, again, the guy bought Bitcoin at 40 and it went to 16. You really think he's going to back off? Now, the big question is, should you back off? I mean, it's just nauseating. Like, it just makes you sick what's going on here. There has to be a guy like me. Like, it took me like 2 days to collect myself. It's like, okay, let me not get caught up in this, because it's easy to get caught up in this. It's easy to tell people to mindlessly buy the dip when it's cascading lower. That's not the right thing to do. So wait for the GANN date, reevaluate, and say, okay, now what do we want to do? Now, this, I think, is a big headline. First of all, forget Hester Pierce. Cynthia Loomis, I think, has been a hero for bull posting this throughout the whole decline. And she is in talks with RFK about a strategic Bitcoin reserve. In other words, RFK just handed all the ideas to Cynthia about how to use Bitcoin to make the American government function better. Because, you know, Elon can cut spending, and then Congress, whatever Elon cuts, Congress will turn around and spend. And if you don't do something to back the currency and the debt, you're going to have massive problems. Massive. So do something. And Bitcoin is now 25% off. Now, another word about the Orange Man and about how this relates to Kennedy. The Orange Man comes from real estate, building, skyscrapers in New York, right? The Orange Man's gone bust on projects multiple times. You can Google this. It's one of the knocks on the Orange Man that they were using back in 2016. You know, the Orange Man will buy a building. He'll borrow just tons of money. And it either works out or, you know, real estate tanks and he blows up. He's used to this. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Real estate in Manhattan, it's the same thing. I mean, it's not exactly the same thing as crypto, obviously. But he's used to this. He's like, oh, yeah, it's down 25%. Okay, great. Now we don't have to pay 100. Soros guy, I'm sure, is delighted. It's like, oh, they're all bearish now. Thank God. And who knows? It could have been them down there taking everyone's crypto. Look at this. So this is a massively controversial political guy, massively, who got debanked and has to have everything in Bitcoin. So he was crying at 100, crying at 90, you know, tweeting, adding Elon and the Orange Man, and then now he just publishes this, right? This is Fear Greed at 10. And, you know, this guy's a pretty expressive, smart dude. And, yeah, that pretty much sums it up, right? Summed it up. This is where everybody was. No one wanted to touch it again. It was just like, to hell with this. I'm quitting. I don't blame you. But that's what a low looks like. Now, Kramer, who high-ticked it, like his comment, which I don't have in front of me, his comment that, yeah, everybody should have a little Bitcoin in their portfolio was like 109. It was like the high tick, literally. Now, he hates MicroStrategy. Now, MicroStrategy is expensive in equity market terms relative to the amount of Bitcoin that they hold. We know that. We also know that the only way certain kind of companies can get access to Bitcoin exposure is by owning MicroStrategy and whatever legacy instruments they issue. So, is now a good time to fade Michael Saylor? Well, you're supposed to fade Michael Saylor when he was on the cover of a magazine, you know, posing in front of his new logo, in front of his company, where he was just, you know, the cringe was unbelievable. But after the stock gets hammered, after the market gets hammered, and after all the legacy guys want to sell everything, they want to sell stocks, strategy, it's an everything crash. It might be. It might be, right? But that's the risk you got to take. If you want to be bearish, you're trading with this guy. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. Right? I'm not going to get bearish at 75. Frankly, I liked it at 95. I thought the guys that were calling for 86, I was like, man, that's kind of deep. If I get 86, I'm going to be all about that. 86, that's killer. Into the planetary event. I was like figuring that was the absolute worst case scenario. And I thought that was going to be just a temporary wick. He took it down to 79 and made everyone want to quit the business. Kramer's bearish, and we're going to sell, right? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going out like that, period. End of story. They can carry me out if it's the everything crash. That's it. If it's an everything crash, if you want to hedge your crypto portfolio, buy puts in stonks. That way, if stonks give out, it might actually be good for Bitcoin, and you'll have some hedge on your altcoin portfolio. That's my attitude. Now, this guy I really like, because he's like, people, you're being shaken out by centralized exchanges. Don't give them your assets. Use their leverage flush to accumulate more assets and move to self-custody. They will turn and flush to billions of shorts after they are satisfied enough longs and paper hands have been shaken out. Accumulate spot on their dips is what he calls it. Do not use high leverage. They will flush any high leverage until degens are capitulated. In other words, he's standing down there taking everything from you. And I didn't realize, the insidious nature of this whole levered perp thing and how much money the house makes on stuff like that while everyone else loses capital, right? Pump.fund, everyone out, right? Everyone wiped out. Predators are making all the money in crypto, which is why you had to purge the system, right? You had to purge the system. The purge is good when all the wrong people are making money, right? And there's all the wrong investment themes. Just purge it. You want to do pump.fund? Purge. You want to chase stuff, you get rugged. You want to do leverage trading, or you want to be irresponsible with your money, you get purged. And then 2 years from now, or a year from now, or 6 months from now, or May, the Bitcoin conference, when you're there and you lost all your money at 75. Now, you may have altcoin positions that may look like they're never coming back, but at least you didn't give your money to some centralized entity, which is why DeFi is so important, which is why in the YouTube member area, we've been screaming ETH and DeFi, right? Stay off the rug chain, because the rug chain got everybody, and then it got the whole market, because that's all you need when the market's like tipping over because of excess, and then somebody comes in and it's just, it's a Mike Tyson knockout punch. Now, I tweet, forced selling continues. And then somebody finds a John McAfee tweet from March 13th, 2019. This is why I'm so into this project, because they're building everything he ever wanted. Do not, under any circumstances, panic at any drop in price, sudden or otherwise. Surely I have demonstrated that short-term fluctuations have absolutely no meaning. Just check the price once every 2 or 3 months if you want to be pleased each time you check. So how long did we blow this thing out for? Like 4 weeks. So Sands, tightening cycle, and FTX, the guy's right. The guy's right. Right. And everyone's going to pack it in, and that doesn't make any sense. Largest Bitcoin holders buy the dip with 1.2 billion as fear greed index hits 0. So fear greed, when fear greed hits 10, what does it mean? It means no one wants to touch it. It means there's no bid, which is why if there's more forced selling, they can lurch this thing down. They can lurch it down until the forced selling is over. Are they going to take it below 70? I kind of doubt it. Because, everyone's down there waiting for them. Everyone, all the smart money is down there waiting for these guys. So if they want to force sell, there's people there to take it from them now. There is. Like, no one wanted it at 90, but when you start taking it down below 80, smart money's like drooling over that. By the way, I got this article from some very smart people that I used to work with. Very smart. So $5 billion worth of Ethereum options and Bitcoin options expired today. So you can have volatility when options expire. Options expire, and then all the people that had long and short positions have to make a decision as to what they want to do next. That's what happens when options expire, right? So people who hedged make money, right? They did a good job. They hedged themselves. You know, their bearish bets paid off and probably protected their spot. Okay, so now they got to ask themselves, do I want to hedge at 80K or do I want to be long? Right? Very interesting. Now, this is a great headline. So Standard Chartered is a bank in Europe, I believe, they were the original, like, goofy upside target guys, right? Like 250, 300, you know, that kind of stuff. They started that way before everybody else did. Now, Standard Chartered is doing tactical trading and saying Bitcoin could fall somewhere below 70 maybe. That's possible. But you know what? When the guys that are talking about 200 start talking about 70, you know, everybody's head is so screwed up. So screwed up. Right? It's like, oh, 200 is my upside target, but you know, you got to watch out. You better get short 5x levered perp because it might go down another 5%. I'm like, oh, come on. You know, this is stuff that makes me want to cry in the air. Because you know what? This thinking it's not their fault. It's what you believe when you watch this price action. You're like, this is going to zero. It's like the discount zone in Bitcoin is at 50. Like, it just warps your head. This is why you go into YouTube member area to get your head straight. It's like, you can go where I go. That's where I go. I'm like, hey, Toby, what are we talking about today? You know, the everything crash? He's like, shut up, dummy. We're not talking about that. You want to talk about the everything crash? Go on your show. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. The Standard Charter's doing it. So I'm not blaming myself for thinking that. But when the guys that are talking about 200 are talking about 70, buy or sell. Kramer's bearish, buy or sell. Right? Even their head got screwed up. I don't blame them. How Web3 gaming is changing this cycle. What? There's a cycle? Yeah. Web3 gaming is coming back. They're going to onboard people through gaming. They are. Look at this. I was ready to pack it in on Avalanche. I was ready to just hate on everything from the last cycle, to be honest. But Avalanche's got itself a payment card. Like, you know, buy some Avalanche and have a Visa card. What a novel idea. I don't know why everybody thinks that, you know, everybody's just going to roll over and play dead. I do think you need to purge your portfolio of stuff from the last cycle. You need to stick with the new stuff, honestly. Especially like new layer ones, DeFi, SEI, SUI, that kind of stuff. Stick with the new stuff. Okay? Stick with the new stuff. Binance is not dumping Solana and other token holdings, says spokesperson. Of course not. They're buying all your tokens. They're buying your tokens. From Sony to Bybit, how Lazarus Group became crypto's supervillain. Hey, I had a guy at work the other day. It's kind of funny. So this guy knows that, you know, this guy knows I'm into crypto, and he comes down. He goes, hey, Bill, did you know that there was a $1.4 billion hack? This is last night. He's like, did you know there was a $1.4 billion hack? Like, yes, bro, I knew that 4 days ago. But it had reached legacy media by the time I think it was NPR. Some group like that was like finally putting out a story. That's how you know it's over. Right? Oh my God, crypto's been hacked. Oh my God. Right? When that hits CBS News, it's over. Or it's 1 day for being over. So you combine that with the GANN date, it's like, okay, maybe they're done with this. Maybe. Okay. I have no idea why anyone thinks that any Western government is going to tolerate this at all. And even if it's not multiple Western governments, it's definitely the Orange Man. I mean, ETH was his thing. Right? World Liberty owns ETH, and they're going to just sit around and go, oh yeah, wow, another day in crypto, rugs, hacks, great. Yeah, we got ourselves, you know, we got ourselves flying the crypto flag, and we're going to tolerate this? Oh, I don't think so, bro. They can either push back with force and SEAL Team 6, or they can push back by just coming out and saying, we're not giving up on this. Absolutely not. Bitcoin meltdown worsens. This is the key. Macro jitters. Stock market is 4% off of its all-time high. Now, if the stock market tanks, we have a problem, right? Obviously. But the stock market isn't down. The stock market has not moved. Like, yeah, overvalued tech stocks have gotten slammed. So what? Consumer stocks have slammed. Okay, we're going into like a growth week period. Equities have not corrected in 2 years. Okay. So, but we're going to sell Bitcoin at 70 because of macro jitters. What macro jitters? Like, yeah, you can have an everything crash. Yeah, I don't like the positioning in stocks. I don't like what's going on there at all. And it's going to come to an end, and it's probably not going to be pretty. Is that going to be today? I don't know. I don't think so. Not in front of the State of the Union address, not with the orange man just coming in. They made a deal with the Fed. They stocked up Fort Knox, and then they shut their mouth. Right? A deal has been made. Okay, crypto trading platform looking for a buyer. I got to get out of this business, right? SEC publishes meme coin stance while letting pump.fun go on. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Just run. Borrowed cash fuels Bitcoin purchases on Bitfinex. Borrowed money to buy Bitcoin. When do you borrow money to buy Bitcoin? Well, don't do the leverage perps. But, big players want to get a loan and get after this thing. I'm not a big fan of getting liquidated with irresponsible leverage, but if they can get the liquidity and they got the cash, they're going after this thing. They don't really care. 80, 70, 60, they don't care. Why would you if it's going to 180? Seriously. Everybody thinks we don't need a new form of money now. Really? I don't think so, man. I think you got to really rethink this whole thing. Right? Bitcoin cents for worst month since FTX. Worst week since November that year. Worst week since FTX. Now, of course, we have men behaving badly. We have the whole thing. We have levered liquidations. We don't know who's liquidated yet. So, yeah, it's very FTX-ish. But do you know how many people would say, if I had only bought Bitcoin after FTX? Do you know how many people after Bitcoin sat at 16K? You know how many people, like smart people, were saying, I'm not touching it. It's going to 10K. And it went straight to 30. He just woke up one day and went from 16 to 30. It's like, boom. Now that took a while. But is it really going to take a while if stocks don't dump? Right? Is it really going to take that long if stocks don't dump? Once we find out who the levered liquidator was. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to take months. It may take weeks. It may take days. Honestly. Like if you get, I think we saw real capitulation overnight. I know, Google doesn't like that word, but you saw people packing it in. The revulsion was unbelievable. Like I almost thought I had to do a stream last night. And I'm like, let's just wait. And some stuff I'm salty about, and I don't like this. And, this really kind of wrecked me on the inside. So if you feel wrecked on the inside, trust me, bro, you have a ton of company. There's probably a lot of people out there who's like, yeah, just mindlessly buy the dip. That's not the easiest thing to say until after my GANN date. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable with the idea of discussing cryptocurrency when people probably are least likely to listen given fear greed. This is when people need to look at the news and the charts and the whole thing and be like, okay, so Coinbase lawsuit dropped, never should have happened. Breakout and retest. Okay. So, you can break down, you can go to 73 and then you can take it back up. They distribute it up here. Everybody FOMO'd in, they drop it. They unwind some of the excess and then they could take it back up again. I don't think anybody's talking about this thing going back up again. Nobody, it is like zero talk of that. Zero. Everyone thinks the cycle's over. I'm talking to the smartest people I know. People are like, yeah, everyone says the cycle's over. I'm like, no, dude, actually, I don't. It's like, I don't know. It's like you got 2K in ETH, you got 70K in Bitcoin, it's not over. If anything, you can't have a cycle until you purge everybody. You can't have a bull market until everyone's out. That's the thing. You have to have everyone out in order to have a bull market. Fresh Trump tariff hits the Chinese market, therefore sell XRP and Doge. These reporters are pulling their hair out. They're pulling their hair out. Okay, AIntivirus. High or low? Right? 4-hour chart. It's not giving up. Janice McAfee did NFTs last night. They got a Solana mixer. You can use antivirus to buy, green plants privately. They just keep executing. That's all. And they got McAfee. And everyone's scared of this guy. They're all scared of him. I can prove it, right? They're scared of me. They're scared of McAfee. They're scared of this guy coming back. They are. He is back on the AI agent. It's just a question of when he starts actually walking and talking, right? The AI agent is unbelievable. And everyone's afraid of it. I know it's a fact. Everyone's afraid of it. Everyone's afraid of McAfee because McAfee is the only guy who ever stood up for himself and crypto to the point where they actually put him away for it. Literally. I'm sticking with this. I'm not giving up on this. After meeting these people, the head of the project, Janice, 45,000 impressions on the interview with her that I hacked together. Literally, you should have seen me. I was like, oh God, are these new microphones going to work? I was so nervous. Janice just sat down. Minutes long and was 4 hours of content in 30 minutes. Orange Man files trademark for Orange Man Metaverse and NFT platform dated 8 a.m. on February 28th, basically at the low. Right. Oh, wait, the North Koreans are hacking us? Oh, my God, cancel everything. Get out of here. Those guys, those guys are going to meet the business end of SEAL Team 6. $927 billion wiped out, right? $927 billion wiped out of the stock market today. Okay? Whatever. Stock market is massively overvalued. I don't care. If it corrects, I don't care, right? M2 is rising, and that's what's holding up equities. It's holding up equities. That's it. That's it. And that's probably the deal. It's you guys don't send Elon in here, and we will hold up the stock market. That sounds like a good deal to me because Elon doesn't care. And that's the problem with that guy. If he goes into the Fed and finds stuff, or they go into Fort Knox and find stuff, it's dude, we got to keep the system going. Let's not blow up the whole system. Okay, Ben Armstrong, a guy I have a lot of respect for, even though he's kind of messed up right now. Okay, so he's talking about some dude. There are all these villains in his life now. He's got a book coming out. Okay. And, he's talking about, I had the connections to get John McAfee on my show. I'm like, oh, look at this. Publicity, right? Andrew Gordon, he allegedly knows who, was not nice to John McAfee. I was like, oh, Ken, thanks for the pub, man. McAfee is back. And with Pump.Fund gone and a huge vacuum for crypto influencers, it's open for somebody like Janice McAfee, and I don't mind contributing too. Who is going to influence what you think on crypto? And Toby Ward is a sleeper too. This guy had 1 million followers. There's a vacuum, right? There's a vacuum. We are back tomorrow discussing our NFT release on Friday. Janice McAfee. Podcast, check that out. When John and I had to leave the U.S. in 2019, I didn't know if I'd ever be with my kids or my family again. The decision to leave wasn't an easy one, but I knew my children would be in more danger if I didn't leave with John. It was a stressful time, to say the least, but we had each other. And despite the constant threat of danger, I always felt safe by his side. Not a single day has gone by without my heart aching for you, John David. I miss you so much. The OG. You want to have a cryptocurrency that you can do stuff with, like buy private SIM cards, right? Where's my phone? Right? There's my phone. Right out of the box, antivirus guys. Get it online. Private SIM card, private gift card. Bought some headphones on Amazon. A cryptocurrency you can use. With the greatest meme of all time brought back as an AI agent. It's 6 million market cap, and it never freaking moved really during this whole debacle. Yeah, it's way off its high. I know. Gotta believe in something, man. Really, you do. You have to stand up for something. Or you're just another mindless human being, like stumbling through life. You got to stand up for something, right? If we're getting free publicity out there from Twitter, man, I'll take it. They're afraid of this coin. He's dead, and they're still afraid of him. I'm telling you, they are. Because these ideas that he had about being sovereign, about being free, about no person should have power over you, like these exchanges and pump.fun and all these predators that are out there, man, he was against all of that. He wanted crypto so you could be free. This is why I just refuse to get bearish. This is why they can come take me out. I don't care. Now let's go to the charts. Okay. So let's get real, right? Let's get real. So the head of the project is talking right now in the Telegram group. He says there are already many tools you can use to take your life back into your own hands. Monero and Tornado Cash are some of those tools. We are building others. Monero doesn't need some centralized entity marketing it. That's what I'm talking about. Head of the project says non-compliance is the way to win, which is what RFK said. Like nobody ever complied their way out of tyranny. No one ever did. And by the way, Tornado Cash was an ETH mixer, meaning you could move ETH privately. AIntivirus has a Solana mixer that has a fee that is paid in antivirus and then burned, which Tornado Cash does not have. Tornado Cash has a $40 million market cap, and AIntivirus has a $7 million, 6.89, but who's counting? Okay. I just love the fact that we buildle, we hodl, we buildle, and we wait to be discovered. When everyone's done buying the trash, come visit us. Now, total crypto market cap. So this is total, meaning all market cap, all cryptos added up, including Bitcoin. So here's your first LuxAlgo buy signal. Here's your second one. Here is the beginning of a total heave. Again, you broke down out of one of these triangles. That was obviously super bearish. Then it goes to equilibrium. So a lesson about LuxAlgo. Please check out LuxAlgo in the link down below. I will never buy anything at the premium zone ever again. I swear on my little brother's eyesight, I will never do this again. Right? I will never say this thing could take out the premium zone if it just goes sideways. Wrong. It goes to the premium zone, you GTFO. Then it goes to the equilibrium zone and you buy it back. That's it. That's it. You know, YouTube member area. Toby doesn't know about the equilibrium zone on the total market cap chart. She doesn't. But she's just like, I'm not giving up on this. You're out of your mind. I'm not doing the everything crash. I'm not doing it. You want to see the latest charts, picks, stuff, the American-made cryptos that we looked at? Yeah, please, just jump in there, please. You know, same thing in total free, right? Total altcoin market cap. Whoa, they freaking do this, man. It's just like, you know, this was scary, right? They're going to break out of this triangle at the apex. That's scary. Yeah, I mean, okay, I don't want to be ridiculous. Okay. Yeah, YouTube not good on the notifications. I know. Well, I curse too much in 2 short videos, so maybe I got punished, but we're back. Okay. Total 3 takes out the equilibrium, takes out the bottom of this triangle, scares the daylights out of you, and then brings it back. Sometimes in bull markets, assuming it's not an everything crash with equities, sometimes in bull markets, they break the chart. They just break it. And they break you, and then they take it up. Sometimes, right? Total 2, including ETH, same thing. Don't have the LuxAlgo buy signals yet, but, I mean, look at this red on red, man. Everybody's packing it in on this stuff. Everybody just see you later. Okay. Now, if we go to DeMark work, right? We are going to DeMark work. Please go to DeMark work. Okay. As we wait for DeMark. Okay, there it is. Thank God. Okay. Bitcoin, 13 bottom. Okay. The 0 means that this corrective activity, right? A, B, C. Okay. Is over. Okay. The C leg actually is A, B, C. And all of this was noise, is what the DeMark Elliott wave term is telling you. This was all part of a correction, and that the correction of this is over. And this 13 bottom is a very strong hint that it's over. Now, what you need is for the thing to turn around and go in the other direction. Now, you don't get these signals very often. Okay, you had a 13 bottom down in July after the yen carry trade. You got a decent rally. You had a 13 bottom in September. Right here. And you know what? It took kind of a long time to confirm it. It wasn't confirmed until over here. And then what did it do? Look at that 13 bottom. Is at the bottom of this huge up move from 55 to 109. It's like, why would you fade that? I'm not in the mood to fade that. Now, of course, someone else has to come in and buy it. You know, you can't just have a signal. Someone's got to buy it. But there's a lot of reasons why you would. There's a lot of reasons why you would, right? I mean, even Solana, which, you know, I want to indiscriminately dump to buy AIntivirus, right? You have a 13 bottom. You have a 5-wave bottom. And you have the end of this correction, right? A, B, C, over. Done. And then you have a colossal reversal. And ironically, as salty as I was about this, if this sticks in Solana, if they don't turn around and sell it again, the bottom will be confirmed with Solana first. How about that? How about that? This was covered by Benjamin Cohn last night. So it's ETH versus Bitcoin, which I've been talking about and talking about and talking about. This is the monthly chart, right? These symbols, these plus signs means that we are headed for a bottom. We just don't know when. And the harder they hit ETH versus Bitcoin, the harder they hit it, the more likely the bottom is. That's it. It could be March. March could be a 9 bottom and a 13 bottom. I mean, you could be headed for a massive bottom in ETH versus Bitcoin either in March or April. Can you imagine? Now, one of the things that Benjamin Cohn said, which makes complete sense to me, and I didn't think of it, is that, you know, ETH does really well when the Fed cuts rates. If the Fed pumps money into the market, ETH does good. When the Fed pulls money out of the market, ETH does bad. You know what? That's a really great explanation. Really is. You don't talk about macro. That's the macro you should be talking about. The economy is horrendous. The only growth is government spending, right? That's the only growth. Seriously. So where's the growth going to come from? Like, you know, where's the unemployment going to go? Right? You know, rates are too high. The housing market is locked. Nobody wants to sell, and anyone who wants to buy can't get the money or can't afford the interest rates. How long can you have the housing market frozen before something bad happens? They can't allow that happen. They can't let this happen. They can't have another 2008. And this is eventually going to benefit ETH. And, you know, they can have a Solana ETF if they want. That's great. But, you know, ETH has this huge capability with its layer 2s to be able to do something. And ETH never went up. It never went up. There's no excess in ETH. It's dead. They want to fire Vitalik. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think the whole crypto world is we're going to pass a card around and we're all going to say sorry, right? The first apology is going to go to Vitalik and the second apology is going to go to Janice McAfee. Honestly, you know, we're sorry for doubting you or your husband. Think about it, right? Think about it. Okay, now let's deal with risks to the view. So, stonks. Okay. Okay, S&P monthly since 2011. The power of the printing press. So this AI narrative is probably out of gas, right? You have a 13 bottom. You have rallies being sold. You have a 5-wave top, a 0, which means that's it. Done. Now, the question is, are you going to have an everything crash? Maybe. Are you going to have it now in front of the State of the Union address? I don't know. Now, of course, if equities accelerate, everything's going to get wrecked. We know that. Bitcoin will probably come back faster once it ends. This is the risk to the view. You want to play for 200K Bitcoin. You want to be in crypto. You want to be a big boy. This is what you got to live with. You got to live with QQQ with a 13 top on a monthly chart, and it's scary. Okay. I say, the hell with this junk. The hell with it. Like, if they're going to have a problem, we already had our problem. We already had our problem. Like, what, we're going to sell Bitcoin at 79 or 80 or 75 or whatever because these clowns are overvalued? I'm not. I'm keeping my Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin at 97. I thought it was cheap. I'm not selling. That's it. I can't tell you what to do. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Don't forget to visit the YouTube member area, right? Okay. A lot of these things have got altcoin picks that are just wrecked. Wrecked. Right? Web3's pushed off of a cliff. Every single stream, we're talking about the coins that we like. I mean, you got a nice supply of coins that are going to do well in the future from the YouTube member area, right? You know, and since Toby is way more attractive than I am, we decorate the thumbnails with Toby. Okay? So you should go check that out. All right, let's see who's here. Anybody get notified about this stream? I don't know. Am I in timeout with YouTube? I don't know. Randall's here. Mojo, Ronnie, what's up? Doge. All right, let's look at XRP coin. We did XRP in the YouTube member area, man. It's like you do not want to fade these American-made cryptos. You do not. Okay, let's go to Doge over here. Share the screen. Okay. Okay, so Doge scaring everybody, wiping out this trend line at the apex. That could go either way. You know, frankly, I think it's scary. It is. It's scary. Right? But you got massive heaving going on. Like massive heaving going on. It's funny. One of the only meme coins that could actually be money, they just gave up on. You got a signal here. You got a signal here. You got a lot of signals that this could be over. And I know if you go to any 4-hour chart of anything with LuxAlgo, it's at the discount zone. I'm just not selling crypto at the discount zone. I'm not doing it. Right? You got bullish divergences everywhere. I'm not doing it. Right? If you can get after this thing, get after it. If you're stuck with it, leave it. Just leave it. But if you can get after it, get after it. Right? And if they want to take it down again, let them take it down again. Seriously. It's like you have to ask yourself, I know we got a bunch of guys that are into MicroStrategy, so let's do that. So MicroStrategy, again, on a 4-hour chart, and, you got resistance above the market. So that's understandable because it's way below its 200-day moving average. But again, it's on its discount zone on a 4-hour chart. I can't come up with a reason why you would want to be negative right now. Why you want to be negative right now? I mean, at a minimum, I think you're going to get a rally into the next eclipse at the end of March. And then we see, right? Then we see. If anything, that eclipse might magnify any reversal that comes out. It could also magnify an everything crash, but you got to take risk, right? There's no risk. So on the daily chart, it's at the 200-day moving average. You've got reversal signals for LuxAlgo. You had the bearish breakout here. you know, I think Bitcoin is better than this, but I don't understand why you would pack it in now. I don't. Look at this wolf. Oof. Right? Major buy signals right on the bottom of one of these expanding ranges. God. Right? Any of these crypto stocks, like, I mean, you realize what's going to happen on the upside in these crypto stocks if stocks don't tank? Stocks don't tank. You know, maybe stocks tank later, but if stocks don't tank, God, right? Like, look at Galaxy Digital. Whoa. Right? You don't have the ultimate signal down here, but you do have a support shelf that this thing is sitting on. So you got to battle at the 200-day moving average. You got to battle. I think you got a similar battle in the Bitcoin ETF, right? So you got your reversal signal down here from the oscillator matrix. You got the 200-day moving average underneath this thing right around 45.8 and the equilibrium zone there. Now, okay, understandable. This is ugly because everybody who bought the Bitcoin ETF since the election has pretty much gotten hosed. Like everybody in this area, it was like distribution, right? They got hosed. All right. So they got hosed. And, you know, there's a gap here, which I didn't realize till now. So there's a gap here between 44 and 47. That's a pretty big gap. You know, you went to the top of the gap. You bounced. Are they going to go inside the gap? I don't know. Because I don't know where the forced selling is. I don't know who it is. And if they're done, or you find out over the weekend that, you know, it's over, you know, you got yourself a bottom. Or at a minimum, you got yourself a DCA opportunity. Everyone talks about DCA. You DCA starting now if you haven't done it. Because then if they keep hitting it, then you just, you know, you take it at, I don't know, 80, 70, 60. You know, you do a Michael Saylor. I think the absolute worst case scenario is that Michael Saylor's average price gets tested at 66. That is the absolute worst case scenario. That's if you have an everything crash. And I don't think lowering price targets below the market is the way to go because that messes up your head, right? You're like, well, I'm really bullish, but I think it's going lower first. You know, if you're really bullish, you buy it now. Honestly, like if you think this is going to 150 or whatever target we came up with in the YouTube member area, then you get involved now. And, you know, Toby thinks about it differently than I do. Toby's like, well, you don't evaluate whether or not your project is any good or not until it goes up. And I respect that. That's fine. But then I like to say, you know in your heart of hearts whether you bought junk or not. You know what I'm saying? Like if you did something stupid or you did some FOMO or whatever, I did it. You did it. If you know you did it, then get rid of that and get something you know is good. You know is good. You probably have stuff that's good. Right? So if you can get rid of junk and double up on something you know is good, like Arrow or MicroStrategy or, you know, that kind of stuff. Or if you can dump NVIDIA and buy the Bitcoin ETF, well, for God's sakes, do it. And if you're afraid to do it, then do it more. Because this thing I mean, was this really about price? Or was it about just taking your head and just twisting it up so you just didn't want to play anymore? It really, that's what happened. Is it a 25% drop? Or is it like permanent, I don't want to play anymore? And if you feel like it's the latter, if you don't want to play anymore, then you should force yourself to get involved or take a day off or do whatever you have to do to clear your head. I had to do it. If you have to do it, do it. And if they take it down, to hell with them. Seriously. Like, if you're going to play for really big money, like everyone's like, oh, I want to be Michael Saylor. I want to be Warren Buffett. I want to be the guy that bought Bitcoin in 2013. Folks, they had to hodl that stuff through the worst shit that there was, right? You had to hodl that through that 2018 crash and that winter. And that winter was like, guys on YouTube were like doing like beard grooming and poker. You couldn't even talk about the market. You couldn't even talk about the market. There was nothing to talk about. Right? Post FTX was the same thing. People was like, I'm never touching this again, ever. This whole ecosystem. But, you know, they almost broke the ecosystem on FTX, but they didn't. The ecosystem took it. So if the ecosystem took FTX, they can handle whatever billion-dollar leverage nitty just got purged. They can handle the pump.fund purged. We handled way bigger than this, and everyone's bearish. No one wants to touch it. You got to think about why you're here. You got to think about the future of money. You got to think about what the head of AIntivirus just said in the Telegram. It's like, hey, bro, do you want to be free or what? Do you want to be free or what? Do you want to invest in the new internet? Toby talks about this. It's like, look, man, you've never been able to invest in the actual internet itself. Yeah, you could buy Cisco or Microsoft or NVIDIA or whatever. But this way, man, you can get directly involved, right? Why would you not do that? Why is everyone giving up on XRP? The guy's already said no transaction task on American cryptos. Why is anybody doubting that that's going to happen? Even if they don't do the Bitcoin strategic reserve right away. The orange man is going to want everything made in America, every single industry, everything. And when they get done with the Elon headlines, they're going to need a growth story. They're going to need Cynthia Loomis and Michael Saylor out front. Michael Saylor will be the sequel to Elon. Because Elon, when he's done cutting, there isn't going to be any entertainment value in Elon. It's going to have to switch to Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin ETF, the sovereign wealth fund. All this stuff is coming. So I don't know why we're acting like it's not. And I don't know, as my final word, why we're capitulating to a bunch of hackers coming out of a communist country. Go to hell. We are not doing that. There was a general in World War II, I believe it was in the snow in Belgium in a region called Bastogne. It was the 101st Airborne. And the Germans told him to surrender. And he sent back a one-word response, nuts. Meaning no. This little note, even though you don't understand what it means, and it's even hard for me to understand what it means, it went down in history. And General Patton marched his army in the snow with no sleep to bail him out. So when Americans say they're doing things, we're not capitulating to North Korean hackers. We're not capitulating to exchanges in Asia that liquidate people for sport. Up yours. Crypto forever. Even if they take it down again, don't let them chase you out. They haven't everything crash. Use stops. That's it. We'll see you tomorrow.